Back to India now, and there is a new standoff between doctors and the governments. Oh, what? Prescriptions. And no, this is not about the handwriting. It's about something more serious. The National Medical Commission, or the NMC, has issued a notice. It's an Indian regulatory body, the National Medical Commission. All doctors must follow what the NMC says. And one of their directives stood out. They've told doctors to stop prescribing branded drugs. Instead, they should prescribe generic drugs. Let me explain what this means. Suppose you have a fever. You go to your family doctor or any doctor. In the past, he or she may have given you a Dolo or a Calpol. Those are branded drugs. Now the regulator is telling them to stop doing this. So what should they do? They should prescribe the generic name of the drug. In this case, it would be paracetamol. So instead of asking you to take a Dolo, your doctor must say, have paracetamol. What is the difference? The branding is the difference. Most medicines are patented by pharma companies. Like Dolo is made by a company called Microlabs. Calpol is made by Johnson & Johnson. Now, these are not lifelong patents. When they expire, other companies are free to replicate these drugs. The color may be different, the shape and taste may be different, the cost too may be different, but one thing remains constant, and that is the active ingredients used to make the medicine. So basically, it's the same drug minus the brand. That's a generic medicine. Now, I know you have more questions. For starters, why is the government doing this? Also, why should you care? We'll try to answer both and more. The government is doing this because of the cost. Generic medicines are cheaper than branded ones. The price difference is anywhere between 30 and 80%. So when your doctor asks you to take a cheaper medicine, the overall cost of healthcare comes down. Your medical bill comes down. That's what the government is trying to do. Make medicines more affordable. That's the idea. Sounds great, right? But doctors have flagged certain concerns. The IMA, or the Indian Medical Association, is protesting against this decision. And this is very significant because the IMA is the largest body of doctors in India. They represent around 350,000 doctors. And the IMA has some tough words for this order. They say it's like, quote unquote, running trains without tracks. Why do they say this? Well, they have raised three concerns. Number one, the quality of generic medicines. It's not good enough. India's drug regulator conducted a survey in the year 2018. It found that 4.5% of all generic drugs were substandard. And this is a huge problem. Branded drugs are researched, tested, and patented. Do generic drugs have the same quality? Doctors say, not yet. Concern number two, availability. Go to your local pharmacist and ask for a generic drug. Chances are they won't have it because the margins are simply not viable. Medical stores make a lot more money by selling branded drugs, so that's what they do. Why would they sell generic ones? And this brings us to concern number three. What will pharmacists do if the generic drug is not available? They will find a branded substitute. Another drug which does the same job, that's what they'll recommend. Now, do you see the problem here? The medical store does not know which drug is better for you. They've probably stocked the most expensive version. So not only will you not get the generic drug, you end up getting the most expensive version of it. Needless to say, it's counterproductive. So the question is, what is the way forward? There is no denying that generic drugs are important. They save people a lot of money. We have numbers from the United States, for instance. In the last 10 years, generic drugs have saved the health industry $2.2 trillion in the US. That's a lot of money. The global generic drug industry is worth around $430 billion. By 2030, it is projected to reach $670 billion. So there is demand. But how do you get doctors on board? How do you break the doctor-pharma nexus while also ensuring the safety of patients? And there is no denying that there is such a nexus. It is true that Big Pharma pays doctors to prescribe their drugs. I'm sure you've all experienced it. Doctors give you medicines which are easiest to find in medical stores near them. Everyone gets a cut. Just think back to last year. The makers of Dolo were taken to court. They were accused of giving doctors freebies worth 1,000 crore rupees. So commissions do exist. But that's only one side of the story. The other side is this. The doctor-patient relationship is based on trust and familiarity. Your doctor knows which drug is best for you, which combination is best for you. Sometimes it may not be a generic drug. So you can't have a blanket rule for all cases. Yes, generic drugs should be promoted, but only after ensuring that their quality is top class. Track first, then train. What we need is more testing labs. What we need is stricter quality control. Only then will doctors and patients trust generic drugs. And the government knows this. In February, they set aside $79 million to strengthen drug regulation in India. So the idea is positive. We're thinking in the right direction, but we need more checks in place.